So now I'd like to introduce the Minister to open the conference. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. They're telling me there's frost outside, and I said it's better than rain. I'm delighted to be here in Athlone today. It's a proud day for me as Minister, but a very proud day for the town of Athlone to have this flood conference here today. I'm delighted, I'm thrilled that the National Forum has picked Athlone for this conference. Today's theme on building the community resilience is a core objective of members of the Flood Forum and key objectives of government, that we have to work together if as a country we can succeed in building resilience and to manage our risk of flooding. Managing flood risk is a key priority of this government, and since I've taken office, I have been working tirelessly to accelerate the planning and delivering of feasibility schemes. Managing flood risks is about more than building walls. It's about empowering people and communities to plan and respond to the risk. The government recognised that community involvement is central in addressing flood risk. The great response to the local communities in the winter floods of 2015 and 2016 and recently in Donegal provides a clear evidence of the value and the importance of the community involvement. And can I say, that has now echoed across into Offaly. I visited Mount Mellick in the recent days, and just to see the community spirit and what they're doing to help out is enormous. This is why I'm happy that the OPW sponsored this conference and is a further opportunity to advise and support communities and individuals. Today is an ideal forum for the community leaders to hear from leaders in the flood risk management field and to exchange with each other their experience, their practices and the lessons. The 10 years of experience by the Scottish Flood Forum in particular will provide valuable insight to the conference and its participants. I want to ensure everyone here today that significant work is being carried out across the whole of government sector in addressing the problem with flooding nationally. The work of the OPW as the lead agency for flood risk management is central to the efforts in particular. The ongoing implementation of the significant 400 million flood relief capital work programme, the most comprehensive assessment ever undertaken by flood risk throughout the country, leading to the development of flood risk management plans for most at-risk communities. A significant ongoing proactive artillery drainage maintenance programme and a very effective programme of funding for minor flood works in local authority level are all making a significant contribution to reduce the flood risk to communities in a very part of the country. I want to acknowledge also the hugely important work being carried out by the Department and its agencies through the humanitarian assistance schemes for householders and small businesses, and the emergency response teams from the local authorities to the fire brigades, the Gardas Síochána, the Civil Defence, the Army and the HSE. We are indebted to those dedicated of the public service. Government cannot solve all flooding problems overnight. It will take many years to deal with the areas of flood risk. In some cases, there may be no feasible technical solutions to the problem. In these cases, it's more generally that local people and communities will have a vital role to play. I can assure you all my personal commitment and that of the government and to support the communities and endeavour to an initiative to tackle flood problems in this area. Can I say, folks, and bring you back to where I stand in relation to government. And I have to say, back in the day, 14 months ago, when I arrived at 10 to 11 on that night before going into government, when I met then the Taoiseach and the Kenny, and people need to know this, that I, knowing that I was going to be a minister someday, along with my good friend and colleague Sean Kenny, we looked for the Office of Public Works. We looked for the Office of Public Works with flood relief to bring a new part of the project in relation to OPW. We felt, the two of us, on question that we could do and offer an awful lot to communities that has suffered greatly over the years. Particularly the experience that I have back in the times of when Willow Park flooded, right up to where we protected Athlone for the first time in the history of state in 2015-16. And from that, to be able to bring that to government, to be able to put that on the table when you're fighting for money for people all over the country was amazing. It was an amazing achievement for me. It was an amazing achievement for Sean Kenny. But we have, in the last 14 months, we've seen huge step forwards in relation to flooding right across the country. And today is a significant day in terms of some of those announcements. We're very close in relation to Cork, which is 140 million of an investment into Cork, which will protect 2,100 properties. It'll also 900 commercial properties. And this, with the help of God, under the phase one of this in Morrison's Ireland, will be carried out or will be brought to the local authorities in the end of this month. That to the people of Cork, where I visited recently, that says to me, when there's people saying that we want a tidal barrier, and the OPW has invested huge money over the years to make this happen, and then people I visit on the streets went into the shops, talked to them on the footpaths. Minister, whatever you do, build and protect us. That's what we want, that's what we, and that is what they're going to get. Clonakilty, another place that's subject to flooding that I visited recently, and up on 12 million, and consultants going to be appointed, it's gone to tender, and consultants will be appointed shortly. It's a major step forward for the people of Clonakilty. Again in Limerick, 2.8 million for fines. Limerick City, 55 million, where we're visiting next week as part of the Seafram project. Kings Island, another 15 to 20 million to protect 450 residents, 23 commercial properties. And advanced works and 1.3 million advanced works to be completed. I'm happy to announce today Crossmolina, 10 million investment for Crossmolina. These people have suffered greatly over the years in relation to how governments betrayed them. That's what they said. It was wrong. What we done is we worked together. The announcement of a scheme, to working with the local community, working with the local authority. And today is a huge day for the people across Crossmolina. And I have to pay a big tribute to Minister Michael Ring, who is working very close with me over the last number of months in my taking up office to make this happen. And this is a diversion channel that's now emerged as a preferred option, and works expect to start in early 2018. This is a massive step forward for those people. I'd also the Shannon, where we are today, and people talk in relation to what is happening on the River Shannon. And can I start in relation to the first bit of works that we carried out in the Shannon, which was last year, was Madden's Island. And people that have campaigned for this to happen have now seen the fruit of that, and I can say that works to carry out the second phase of Madden's Island will start early 2018. A housing estate which I visited on taking up office in Portavola, down Banagher, and I have to say, Michelle Gorka Kennedy, she's here somewhere in the audience, has worked very, very close with me in relation to this. And we visited this property and we met with the locals down there in the hotel, and we also met with the farming community also on the right. And to say, on the day leaving the property, I had the confidence to go back to work with the OPW and our staff to deliver on that scheme. It's now almost completed, and to see when we back visited the site recently, to see the expression on the people's faces that we met, they were very, very, very happy to see that this work has now carried out. And again, for the first time ever, and I taken up office, and the first time ever in the history of the state, that we decided to do a targeted maintenance on the River Shannon. And people have said, we've heard all this before, but they haven't heard me speak of this before. And I can assure each and every one of you that now know that we had machines on the Shannon where we applied for 9 licenses for works on the Shannon. We achieved to get 7, and work started this year, and I know there's videos going to come up. But that in itself proves the government's commitment. It proves our commitment to the community, that what we want, what you want, is the same as what government wants. And to achieve that in its own right, and some work, vegetation work is still going on. And I suppose people in here, some people said that it was a stunt, it only started and stopped. It wasn't. We had to apply for a licence. We had managed to get the licence and then start the works. But in achieving that, recently we had a meeting in Nina, where I met with Parks and Wildlife and I asked them, how could we advance on next year? The word that says, Minister, get the applications in and we'll have you on the road for next year. So my people in the OPW are working very, very close in relation to that. We also carried out extensive channel cleaning in and around Athlone, and particularly in the Al River. And people, I spoke about Willow Park flooding over the years, and this was a huge step forward in relation to that, and also carried out work at the canal in Athlone, and we're going back in there next year. Muckna, foxes, we all know from the 2015-16 in relation to the walls was there, that the damage that was causing there, and I'm happy to say that works now is almost substantially completed in this area. I've also trilled, I suppose, in a major step forward in relation to a 6 million investment in a 5-year period in relation to the removal of meal wear and 16 or 18 pinch points along the Shannon system. This is a major step forward in relation to flooding. This is something that I see in the audience, Tom Cleary and Michael Silk and people like that have been, I suppose, pursuing for a great number of years. To see the likes of this, to be here today, to be able to announce a significant investment in relation to this. And can I say what people say, this will have a huge benefit going forward. It will reduce the Shannon levels downstream of Athlone between 12 and 18 inches when work is completed. I did stress it's a 5-year plan. It will also have a huge benefit to the farming community, and the farmers right around the whole of the Callows have been campaigning for this for a great many years, and it will also have a huge benefit to the parks, particularly to the habitat. And somewhat we get lost, we do give out, people give out to me, why are you putting the habitat? I'm not, I'm saying we have to work together and work to benefit everybody, and the habitat has a huge role to play in that. For bird nesting, it's a massive step forward, and for tourism, it's a huge step forward in relation to that. And that in itself proves that the work of the OPW, Waterways Ireland and the agencies coming together to make this a successful story. And can I say, in relation to the key stakeholders, because people have campaigned and lobbied for a single authority on the Shannon. And I have always said, when I was a councillor, and I said it when I went into Dublin, that we have a Shannon Flood Risk Agency Committee that's set up with all agencies on the Shannon. And this, based on the announcements that I made this morning, based on what we started in relation to Shannon, proved that that agency is working. And while people want to say we still need a single agency, we don't, because if we go for a single agency, we'll be wrapped up in legal problems from here until whenever it's sorted, and no works will be carried out. So I say to you folks, this, what we have in the agencies there, all groups working together as making things happen, and the benefit of that can be seen from the announcements I made and the work that has started. But I have to say, turning the sod on my own town, Athlone, recently, of the 6 million, was the biggest day of my life, because as a person who went to Dáil Éireann, not realising when I walked in the gates that I'd be now Minister in Government, and a person that campaigned for this for a great number of years, was a huge day, not just for me, but for the people of Athlone. And I can see that when I go into shops, when I go to different meetings, people are so proud to have Athlone finally started. And I say that we always talk about flooding. We think of Mayo, we think of Athlone, we think of Limerick, and we think of Cork. And you can see from the announcement that I'm making here today that we've put all those in under the umbrella of delivering these schemes. And we see CFRAM that we will be announcing towards the end of this year will speed track an awful lot of schemes going into the future and protecting people going forward. But the key stakeholders have to be thanked. And that's the OPW, under the stewardship of Maurice Buckley, Chairman. I have to single out the Chairman, and also I have to single out Commissioner Sydenham, also John Curtin, if he's here, Brian Brogan. These guys are working with me on a daily basis, in and out. I suppose some days I put them under pressure, I have to be honest, and they know that. And Some days my advisor in Eugene Deering, he said to me, "Boxer, will you ease off?" He says, "They've only 2 pairs of hands. You can't keep pressing them and pressing them and pressing them." But everywhere I go, people are looking for different things, and I, as a person, like to try and deliver those things. But these guys that are working with me, and OPW have been criticised in the past. To me, they're one of the best organisations that we have as regards supporting communities right around the country in the work to do. And the engineers, I couldn't go and thank each and every one of them. I'll be here until tomorrow morning. But the faces are familiar in front of me, and these are the guys that I've worked with in Donegal. These are the guys I've worked with all over the country, but particularly in relation to what we're working on in the last few months has been great credit to those guys, and I can't thank them enough. We're also working closely with Bord na Móna, Inland Fisheries, Waterways Ireland, ESB. I can't thank the ESB enough for what they're doing in work with my department in relation to levels of water and working together to make things happen. And that is, I can't thank them enough in relation to what they're doing with my department. Irish Water, Environmental Protection Agency, the Counties and City Managers Association, the Department of Housing and Local Government, and the National Parks and Wildlife. These agencies have been criticised in the past. These agencies are working very, very closely together and making things happen. I can also want to say a big thanks to the Shannon System Flood Alliance. The lads are here today, have met with me on a number of occasions and work very, very close together. The Mid Shannon Flood Relief Group, and these are locally at Emily Young and Michael Silk, and if the lads have been campaigning for a lot, we've all mentioned in Tring. But today is a great day. Today is a great day in relation to flooding, but it's also a sad day because yet we've experienced more flooding this week in County Offaly, and particularly in the areas that's badly affected that I visited during the week. And people say to me, and I hear people saying, it's a freak thing, it's a big heavy rainfall. It's no longer freak, because it's happened in Donegal twice this year, in Donegal Town and Donegal Burnfoot, and also we have now in Killybegs. We now have it in Offaly, in Mountmellick, and now Portarlin. And the events are all the same. The flooding, the rain is coming down at a very fast pace. And I say to local councillors right around the country I visit, you have a huge role to play in this going forward. You have to put flooding every much to the forefront as you have as roads and footpaths, because people that has water coming into the house, I've seen people in Port Ireland or in Mountmellick this week for the first time that have experienced it, have never explored, and just to see the trauma on the face is so much too familiar to me because I've seen it in Athlone so many times. But it is a horrible thing and a horrible experience for anyone. But moving forward, I think there's lessons that we all need to learn, because flooding has the end result, but we can achieve a lot more. And I intend to meet with local authorities in the very near future to speed up the process in getting local councils and county councils ready in the net of a flood, that they have the people on the ground, they have the sandbags there, and all these necessary equipment is there for them. This is something that Athlone and Donegal have showed, I suppose, to every local council out there, and I intend to echo that right to all the councils right around the country. And can I say to each and everyone, thanks for your support, thank you for your commitments, and thank you for working with my office and working with government. I could not achieve all this on my own. I have to thank Deputy Sean Canning, but I also have to thank our partners in government, Fine Gael, because I meet with the Taoiseach on a regular basis in relation to flooding. Yesterday, events in relation to what's happened in Dublin, but when I leave in the meeting last night, Taoiseach, he said to me, "Boxer, how is things? How is the flooding? How is the people in Mountmellick? How is the people, we are talking to the people in Donegal recently, how is things going there?" That's the commitment of this government. This is the first time I would take government have taken flooding very, very serious. When you see the commitment of funding, but you see them working together. The one thing that needs to happen in relation to going forward, we need, I as junior minister, we need a senior minister in relation to flood sitting at the cabinet table, because we need more money. If I am to deliver the schemes that the people want right around this country, I am talking to Pascal, the Minister of Finance, at doubling the money in relation to flood relief. I will be looking in the early months of of December of Dublin money. And when I say Dublin, I'd be looking to deliver on schemes close to 1 billion to deliver schemes right across the country. That is something that I know in relation to delivering the schemes for ye people and for people right across the country of Ireland. We need to do that. But once again, thank you all. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for putting up with me. And thank you. And I should say thank the councillors, in particular my own councillor, Ailish McManus and Michael O'Brien, that has worked closely with me, and my own staff within my office. I have to say, from Sharon to Sarah to Deirdre, to Margaret, to Jamie, to the people on the road, and Brendan, and to Martin, and also to Ollie, and to Liam, and to John, my son, that we work every weekend together as a unit, helping the community. But also, I'd thank, as I say, the councillors, and particularly the councillors of Athlone, and the Director of Service in Athlone, and the County Manager. They have been very, very working closely with my department in delivering most of these schemes. But once again, I'd like to thank you, and want to thank you all. Thank you.